Did you know that it's possible to pre-sell your book before you've even written a word in it? I'm going to share how I did that and how you can too in today's vlog. In 2012, I had the idea that I finally was ready to write my own book. Now, you may have experienced this as well, that you feel like you've got a book in you, but you're not sure if you're expert enough in the area, or you doubt whether you could write an entire book. And for me, by 2012, having run my business for over 2 years, I knew that I finally had a story that I wanted to share. I had a lot that I wanted to teach. But I still wasn't sure if people were going to buy into it. I'd pretty much established myself as the suitcase entrepreneur, but was somebody going to buy the Suitcase Entrepreneur book? That was the million-dollar question. And so what I did was use Kickstarter to essentially put it out there and say, would you buy this book? And if I think back on it now, it's hilarious. The video I shot was in Borneo. I'm kind of sweaty, it's humid, a fly lands on my nose partway through. It's not my prettiest work. I'm also standing by a river and I didn't have great audio, and I literally had my iPhone on a piece of wood, a wooden post. So it was all just pretty makeshift. But the point was the story really resonated with people, and I had enough of a small community at that stage to say, hey, would you buy the Suitcase Entrepreneur, How to Create Freedom in Business and Adventure in Life? And enough people said yes. And what was so awesome about it is that I actually got overfunded in my Kickstarter campaign. Sure, I'd put a lot of effort into planning it, thinking about what could be in the book. I did a rough outline of the chapters, and I also thought through who's going to read this and why is it going to be valuable to them. But the results just blew my mind. And in a sense, that Kickstarter campaign being funded was like paying myself a book advance. Because if you're lucky enough to then work with a publisher, they will pay you in advance. For most first-time authors, it's usually only around $5,000 to $10,000. So when I was able to make $10,000 or more through Kickstarter, it was like I had just paid my own way to get this book out into the world. Now, all of that money went into the book production, the design, the website, getting it to people, copy editing, just every single thing. But what was so genius about it is that it proved that there was a market for this book, and I already then had hundreds of pre-orders of people who were waiting to read the book. So in my mind, that was just a great start, because I knew that when I put it out, it was already going to be read and enjoyed. The other thing is that one of my pledging levels was actually, would you like to edit this book? So people paid to become an editor of my book, which saved me a lot of money on having an editor. And it really got buy-in from those 10 people who felt that they had, because they had, helped me write my book. So when it went to launch time and I had it on Amazon, the day it went live on August 8th of 2013, it became a bestseller in 3 categories straight away. Mainly because I had that inbuilt audience who had already pre-ordered, who I could send an email and say, it's live. And they all went and popped a review on, shared it with their friends, and suddenly it moved up the bestseller list, which was, for a first-time author, the best feeling in the world. So I just wanted to show you that there are ways to pre-sell your book before you even have to write a word of it. But you do have to create, in essence, a book proposal, even if it's just for yourself. But of course, you can put that book proposal in front of potential publishers, you could get an agent, and you could go a variety of different routes if you don't feel like self-publishing. Because I'm not going to lie, self-publishing is a lot of work. It is such a mission just to write a book, let alone market it. So don't underestimate the time it takes to write and craft a really great book, to have it edited, to have it proofed, to have it laid out beautifully, and then to actually get it on to Amazon to sell. And that doesn't even take into account getting it into bookstores. I'm kind of upset that when I first produced the Suitcase Entrepreneur, it didn't go into bookstores, because I frankly was almost burnt out just doing all the other marketing to get it out there in the world, including an international book tour, tons of press, tons of interviews, and pretty much doing everything myself to get this out there. Now, the interesting thing about this book, and a lot of people have asked me this, is how did you then go and get a publishing contract with a really big name publisher? So last year, 2017, North Star Way approached me when my agent went to them with my next book idea, and they're like, actually, we can see the Suitcase Entrepreneur has done really well. Could we take it on? So So they essentially bought the rights to publish my book in North America and Mexico, which was huge for me to get traditionally published by one of the top 5 big name publishers. They paid me a really decent advance, thank you North Star Way, and they took care of getting it into the bookstores. They redesigned the cover. The original was a laptop on a cruise ship, and I made a bunch of edits. So this is the 3rd edition. And it just felt so neat to be able to say I was a self-published author and then got picked up by a big name publisher. So I feel like The Suitcase Entrepreneur is the book that keeps on giving, because out of this book I have got paid speaking gigs, I've created a best-selling signature program, the Freedom Plan, and I've been able to reproduce, repurpose, rewrite so much content from this book and expand on it for others. And it still sells. The audiobook is great, the digital book is great, the book still sells, and this is now almost 5 years old, and I still get messages and emails from people all over the world saying how this book has helped them. So if you're thinking about writing a book, please do. It is the most rewarding experience in the world. It's also one of the most challenging. And in my last vlog, I actually talked about how you can turn free content into $500,000 worth of revenue. That was a case study that did include a little bit about this book, so check that video out. But in next week's video, I want to take it a little step further and talk to you about the 3 different ways that you can publish your book, because I've done them all and I want to share them with you. Now it's time to read a really great book. Oh, yeah, what a page turner.